Good day, viewers. Consider the question on the board. The question says the diagonal of a square is 12 centimeter. Find the length of its side. The diagonal of a square. So there is a square. There is a square. And one thing about a square is that all the four sides are equal. So the diagonal is the line drawn from one corner to another corner, either from this corner or to this corner, or from this corner to this corner. So let me just draw the diagonal. Let me say from this corner down to this corner. And the question is saying that the diagonal of a square is 12 centimeter. So I'm aware that this diagonal here is 12 centimeter. I say find the length of a side. We don't know what the side is. So this side represents a number. There's a number that represents the side of the square. So how do we find the number that represents the side of the square? Since we don't know, we can use any letter to represent it. So let me say the letter here is X. Then, since all the four sides of a square, all the four sides are equal. So if I have X here, definitely I'm still going to be having X here. I will have X here. I will have X here because all the four sides of a square are equal. So I can just say, okay, let this be X as well. Let me just put X here, and X here. Now, how do we find the length? Very simple. If you look at this very well, dividing this square into two equal parts, putting diagonal there, you discover that it's forming a right angle triangle here. It's forming a right angle triangle. So if I decide to bring out the triangle, this is what I'm having. I'm having something like this. I have X here, I have X here, then I have 12 here. So I've brought out this part here. So if you look at it, that is forming the right angle triangle. So there is a rule that you can apply here. Since it's the right angle triangle and we have all the three sides here, so we can use our Pythagoras theorem. Pythagoras theorem. And in Pythagoras theorem, the sum of the square of these two sides will give us the square of this side, which means c square equals to a square plus b square. So this c square represents this side here, which is the hypotenuse, while a square represents this side. You can say this b square represents this side. So this will give us, so c square is 12, which is 12 square equals to x square plus x square, since these two sides are equal. So this will give us, what is 12 square, which is 144. X square plus x square will give us, because here now we are having two x square there. We have one x square here. We have another x square here. So how many x square are we having altogether? We're having 2x square altogether. So to remove these two, we divide both sides by 2. This cancel this, this cancel this. So here now we are having x squared equals to 72. Now, to remove these two, we have to put the opposite. The opposite of square here is the what? Is the square root. So if we find the square root of both sides, we find the square root of both sides. So these two cancel here, we have x. Now, I feel like leaving it in short form. So if I want to leave it in short form, think of two numbers that are going to multiply together, that will give us 72. And one of the two numbers must be a perfect square. So how we go for 36 times 2? 36 times 2. So x equals to, this 36 times 2 give us square root of 36 times root 2 under the law of surd. So the square root of 36 times 2 is the same thing as root 36 times root 2, which is going to be giving us, what's root 36? Which is 6 times root 2, because you can't find the exact root of it. So if you multiply it together, 6 times root 2 will give us what? 6 root 2 centimeter. So the length of its side is 6 root 2 centimeter. Do you learn something? Thank you.